Hi everyone. So today I want to show you how SageBox works at kind of a basic level, just a hello world. It's really not going to show a whole lot of stuff in a way that SageBox does because it really is a big set of tools and a library and everything. But let me show you the hello world program where it's just a random thing, and it's 9 lines of code, and you can see that this is a widget. This is why I can move it around, and then there's just some text and everything. And then what I want to show you is also this, that even though I'm just showing kind of just a couple basic things today, you can do a whole lot more. And this by itself really doesn't have a lot in it because it doesn't have any sliders or anything. It's just kind of a nice implementation of a formerly ASCII art donut. And so I'm going to do a couple of videos on that. But what I do want to show is this widget here, because this is 2 lines of code using the SageBox tools. 1 line to implement the widget and 1 line to react to it and change the color of the donut. So this is 2 lines of code, and then the label is another 3 lines of code, 2 to get the size of everything, and 1 to actually place it. And so I'll show that in a little while. But for now, let's just go ahead and stick with the hello world, and let me get rid of this. This right here is 9 lines of code. It doesn't really mean anything if it's very cryptic and compact and you really have to know how things work, and what does it mean when you have to be an expert at things. And one of the things that SageBox really does well, and one of the big the focus of it, is to make sure that you don't have to do that. If you look at this stuff, it works exactly just as it's just regular C code, C++ code with a lot of functions, right? Like the out works exactly like cout, and the CLS. It has explanations of what everything does, and then these are modifiers, which I'll show in a couple minutes, and these are used all over the place in exactly the same consistent format. So the idea is that SageBox really helps you do these things, and it doesn't get in your way, it just helps you. So let me show you a quick example of really just the canonical hello world program. So when you first open up say like a project template or whatever, this is really what you're going to see in SageBox. This is just the hello world program where you have the main, and then you have your class, and you have something called a quick sandbox. And a lot of these packages do have these macros, and they get kind of esoteric. So let me explain what this is just a little bit. What this does is it creates your class, and the idea is that a lot of times, this is what I use in my own personal work. And so you replace the class name with it, and then you're basically done. And all this does is create a public delete. It's a little bit of linkage. So this just helps you delete memory so that you can do the new here. So it's no big deal, and I'll discuss it at some other point. So the idea, though, is if you look at this program that we have here, the original program we started with, without the donut, we're not really going to keep this. I mean, we're just playing around. And so the idea is, why type all of those definitions when we're just going to do a quick sandbox? And then later, if you want to go ahead and do the main form, because you're saying, hey, you know what, I really want to expand this out. I've decided I want to keep it. I'm just going to go ahead and do my init functions and my redraws, and then, and whatever it is, put in your member variables and everything. But until you do, and you're not sure you're going to do it, I'm just playing around. Just go ahead and do the quick sandbox, and then let it grow naturally. And that's one of the whole ideas of SageBox, is to let you do all of these functions very easily, and then grow very gradually with a very flat learning curve into doing more and more. And that's one of the reasons why these things are all well documented and kind of lead you into doing things. And so one of the things you might have noticed already is that you have kind of the regular streaming things, and then suddenly these OR gates appear. What are these about? Very, very odd looking, right? And it makes things mysterious. All they are these. They're exactly the same thing. And I just like to use the OR gates personally, because when when things are lined up, as they kind of tend to be in a lot of times, they just kind of look nice. I mean, this looks okay, but when you do the code, it's fine. But I find that the little OR gates kind of make kind of a nice separation, especially when maybe you're using 2 or 3 more of the options. And so just to demystify that, that's all that is. That's just a personal preference. You can also use plus here if you want to, and I just put them all in just so everybody can do what they want to do, because you do see plus a lot. You see the shifting. I like the OR gates, so I just wanted to make sure that it didn't look too mysterious or anything. So now let's go ahead and examine this just a little bit real quickly. And so let's just get rid of everything and go back to this, because I want to point out that we're in a console mode, and you can make a Windows program too with this. It's fine. It's just console mode really has a lot of neat things about it. But just to show that we're actually in a console mode, you can do your regular hello world program, which is really the shortest form of a hello world, in C or C++. And of course you have your hello world, right? And then, like I said, the canonical form of the sandbox is when you open it up is this, and when you run it, you get exactly the same, the hello world. And what I want to show real quickly is, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to write some code. I'll be right back. Okay, so you can see what I did here is I added some lines of code that look like just pretty much standard C code. I have the printf, and then I have standard printf. And the idea is, since we're in a console mode, this is why console mode is great. Like I said, you can move it over to Windows, you can start with Windows, but console mode is great because you just have so much more control. So when I run it, I'm printing out to both Windows and the console mode and this mode. But one of the reasons that the console mode is so nice is that, let's say this is some out of control process, I'm playing with graphics, it's stuck, I don't know what's going on. You can just press Control C in the console mode and it'll just clean it up. You might even get an error that comes up from Windows, but it'll clean it up anyway. And so it's just a nice little fail-safe. Plus the fact that a lot of us start in the console mode and then we want to move out. So I'm going to write some other code. I'll be right back. Okay, so now you can see that what I did was all of that project stuff is gone. I'm just creating a new window and there's no quick sandbox or anything. And so if you're in a console mode and you're saying, hey, I just want some extra things to do, I can put up some buttons and sliders and widgets and do whatever. And then later you can move this on, or whatever it is, into the Windows code if you want to make it a bona fide Windows program. But one of the things about SageBox is it just helps you work wherever you want to work. It stays out of your way. And this is a good way to show it. So if I run it, it's exactly the same as we had before, but now it's just in the console space. I just swapped this. Instead of standard printf, I have same printf, it just goes out to the console. Now I have my window. And then I can also say, hey, let's get it kind of out of the way. Let's move it out over here and then make it, I think 600 by 400 is about the same size as the, and then I can run it. And you notice I didn't title the window, but I can put a title in there by just putting a text string. But you can see we basically have the same thing here. And so now I have this window where I can put stuff in here, and now I can put stuff out. I can put graphics out here, even though I'm in console mode. So here we are back into the Hello World program. And so let me point something out real quick. Let's get rid of the donut thing. And so let's just start with the CLS, because what I want to talk about is that there's a whole lot of stuff going on here. But what SageBox does is it's just really meant to help you. And it's not like you have to program in the SageBox space and then suddenly it's not translatable anywhere. And the things you maybe learned with SageBox don't translate very well to Windows. SageBox uses pure C, C++, Windows graphics community concepts and just applies them for you. And so the idea is that when you do things, it may have some powerful functions, but it doesn't lead you into its own world or anything. So let's examine this a little bit. Let's go ahead and change this to blue. And so now I just have a blue screen. Okay. So what I can do is I can make a color, and I can call it, say, Rob's color. And we can just say yellow or whatever, but let's go ahead and do an RGB value, which would be, yellow would be 255,0, red, green, and blue, just an RGB value. And then what I can do is I can just, instead of blue, I can put my color in there. And now I have yellow, and then I can go back to the black that I had, or I can use an RGB value. The black and blue, or these are just stock colors that SageBox creates. And so now I have the gradient and everything. Okay, so that's fine. So let's say now I want to make it a variable. So I can say, and I could make it the variable name Rob's color, but let's go ahead and just, for context, let's make it another variable name. And so, and then I can go ahead and do an auto on that. And then I can go ahead and let's just make this a purple. So red and blue is purple. So red, And then I'll replace that with just some color. And now it's a variable. And so now I have my purple, okay, and then just to make it look kind of nice, go back to the black. So now let's explore what exactly is going on. I showed the CLS and kind of an example of some of the stuff that SageBox does at kind of a root level. And so what's going on here? So basically you can see this works just like the cout. I wanted to call it cout, but I couldn't overload it, so I just had to do out. Maybe I'll figure out how to overload cout, or someone can tell me. But basically that's the same thing as cout. And then we're just adding these modifiers. And where do these modifiers come from? I mean, how can you know what these modifiers are? Well, these are in a space called opt. And if you don't have the using namespace, the quick sandbox defines it. If you, and it just gets defined in general, but you can undo it if you want to. And so you would put opt in front of everything, which is really great, because what you can do, you don't need to have that there if it's already, I already have that. So if you're ever wondering what the options are, you just say opt, and then you say, okay, I know I'm looking for an option to change the color, and you can say, okay, I know color is in there, and then the ID will show you everything with color, and then you can put the cursor over it, and it'll tell you exactly how it works. And so, and these are used everywhere in here, so you can go ahead and just put the mouse over everything, and it will tell you what they do, and the functions will tell you what they do and what they take. Like the text widget, for example, you can see it. It's pretty comprehensive, and it shows you all the options that it takes. And write is the same way. Write just it just takes a string. It's really like Pascal write. That's where it came from originally, because it's just a dumb thing to handle strings, so it can be really fast compared to say printf. But it'll also take these modifiers. And again, not to be confusing, it's exactly the same. So it's just the streaming format. And then, like for example, if I can just change this to a printf. The only difference between printf here and in the console mode is that you can give it an X and Y coordinate. We're in a graphic space, so sometimes you want to print in specific places, so it'll do it. See what it looks like. So you can see it looks exactly the same because it doesn't really do anything. Since I'm not using any modifiers, I can do printf or write. And like all these numbers are just numbers I played with before I started the video to make it look right. That's half of graphics programming, is moving things by 3 pixels because it doesn't look right. And that's really about it. And so you've got these. I'll explain more in other videos, but this is basically the basics of it. And the text widget, let me explain that a little bit, because the text widget is pretty nice, where you can do a lot of things where it's pretty much persistent, so that when it's on the screen, you can't override it. And it's really useful. In fact, I'm going to show a last example that'll use the text widget. What I want to do is And so what happens is that since I didn't tell it to be transparent, it just goes ahead and goes with whatever it thinks the window is. You saw it blended fine before. And so now if we just go ahead and make everything transparent, and again you can do opt transparent, and it will tell you what it does. And so you just go transparent, opt transparent, or just in this case, transparent. And now, as you can see, everything's transparent. So now you don't have the purple bar. And when I move it, you can see it just blends in very nicely to that. So anyway, so I thought I'd show you all of that. And then we have this. And then, like I said, you can go from this to that. And then you can move, like I said, you can do a whole lot of stuff. This is just 9 lines of code. And it's pretty cohesive, encapsulated code. So it's not cryptic or anything. It's pretty well founded in terms of how it works, with the graphics and with console mode, or if you want to do Windows programming. And in other videos, I'll show the event mode programming, so that you can do more specific events. And so the main thing is you can just program and do these things without having to worry about, hey, I want to try this slider, and you have to do all these events just to find out you don't want to use the slider. Just put it out there, and then later, if you want to formalize it, go ahead and do it. But for the prototyping or hobbyists or just playing around, you can just put it out there, see if it works, and then go with it after that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you in some more videos I'm going to do pretty soon.